The 2024 World Championships for Yu-Gi-Oh! Were wild. I'm not talking about the rumors of the Duel Links event being held hostage by a Turkish hacker looking for $35, and I'm not referring to travel problems leading to a quarter of the entrants to the entire OCG TCG event being from the United States. Canada, step it up next year. Hours after the opening match of the Master Duel Swiss bracket concluded, an article was published on Master Duel Meta leaking every single deck list that was played that round. As more and more rounds were played, more and more decks were leaked, and after day 1, only a handful of players still had their second deck list private. This happened because games at the Master Duel World Championships have their replays accessible through the game's client, in order to build interest in the event from the player base. In most respects, this is a good thing. If your favorite team doesn't get featured in a live stream, you can still watch every single match they play from your phone or computer. Employees from Master Duel Meta were able to use a publicly available third-party tool called Untapped.gg to analyze these replays and pull each player's complete deck list, even finding cards that were not used in the replay. Understandably, many people took to Twitter because of this, upset with Master Duel Meta's godfather, Decade. Many important figures in the community weighed in on the controversy.
I think what Decade just did ruins the integrity of the Master Duel competition.
Within 2 days, Untapped pushed an update to prevent this from happening, citing that using it to reveal private information went against their philosophy and purpose for the tool. On Twitch, Decade went live to present some interesting statements in his own defense.
You now, in between matches, can't be fed secret information on your opponent's decks as you have someone at home or multiple people at home. Who knows, maybe you have 10, 20 people gathering all the information to feed it to you. So no extra advantage for you. Good luck at Worlds though.
His main point was that since Untapped.gg and the replays were both publicly available, there was a risk that any player or team could have the information he leaked assembled and privately sent to them during the tournament in order to achieve an unfair advantage. Because he published all the lists, this theoretical advantage was leveled between all the competitors. There's a word for the type of behavior Decade describes in his stream: scouting.
Scouting?
They scout their techs.
What does it mean to scout?
To collect information on an opponent's strategy outside the game in order to obtain an advantage. This kind of thing can be really unfair. At YCS's, 2 players are selected to have their match streamed every round, so it can be very easy to collect information on their deck lists. This is especially true for famous and talented players, since their matches are highly sought after and commonly chosen.
On the whole, especially at the top level, I am hurt a lot more by scouting than I am helped by it. In the sense that I am, for lack of better language, I am the #1 most eyes-on player in any tournament that I play in.
Hell, I once blindly sided into Jinzo to win a tournament match because my opponent said, and I quote, "Magical Musketeer amazement, actually not a bad idea," in a public forum. It's almost logistically impossible to prevent information from getting out about deck lists, so what the fuck are we supposed to do about it? Well, the main way to put this issue to bed seems to be to reveal this information. In Pokemon's VGC format, and at high-level Magic the Gathering events, team sheets and deck lists being publicly available is the norm. There are even a number of YCSs where the type of deck each player used was published with the announcement of Top Cut. This type of thing was very controversial in Pokémon when it got introduced, but before we write off the Pokémon company as a Master Duel Meta subsidiary, I would like to consider how the system could improve Yu-Gi-Oh's tournament structure. Primarily, revealing deck lists ruins any benefit players have from scouting. In an article, professional Magic the Gathering player Brad Nelson describes the first major events he attended with open deck lists. Open deck lists allowed players to openly find cards they were missing without the fear of giving away too much information. People weren't scared of talking to other players in the event about the format, what they were playing, and so forth. Between rounds, players could take breaks instead of spending every waking moment scouting the competition. It was great. For similar reasons, open deck lists are preferable for live stream commentary. Instead of having to dance around what casters know is in the featured decks, they can actually dig into these choices to add context to the decisions made by each player. Just listen to how excited Billy Break is with the prospect of discussing one of the last spicy tech choices in Snake Eye Fiendsmith. He's practically salivating.
Magician's Souls to send the Snake Idea
Okay,
Bellstar.
cool. We get to see the cool cards that's in his deck. I haven't been able to talk about it, but he is packing Magician's Souls in his Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck. Really cool to see here. Going to be able to send one of those spellcasters, and it looks like he put the Snake Eyes Die Bellstar back just to put it right back into the graveyard here.
Open deck lists can allow the viewers to easily find and read unfamiliar cards with just a click of a button, which could make complicated card game streams a little bit more approachable. In a similar vein, publishing this information also makes whatever game you're playing more approachable to players. Regardless of whether you know what Salaman Great or Salamence actually does, you can get a bit of a quick refresher by just reading through what your opponent has in store for you. This benefits players learning the game, since Yu-Gi-Oh cards are notoriously bad at communicating the full extent of what they actually do. This whole field is the result of one Snake Eye Ash, for example. Yu-Gi-Oh already has a reputation for being a very unapproachable game by modern card game standards.
I wouldn't recommend trying Yu-Gi-Oh unless you watch the anime as a kid, or if you have a really good understanding of how card games work, or if you really want to see what Yu-Gi-Oh has to offer, because Yu-Gi-Oh has definitely got the highest learning curve of all the card games here.
If people have a chance to look at what their opponent is packing, it might help ease them into the tournament play experience. Open deck lists can also create interesting mind games. Playing uncommon singletons in your deck can encourage the opponent to play around cards they ordinarily wouldn't expect, whether you draw them or not. This could be the difference between a player taking the Maxi challenge to threaten game versus passing their turn out of fear of your one copy of Nibiru in your main deck, waiting patiently to be drawn. Here's another example. In the TCG, it is a common practice to side floodgates, most commonly continuous trap cards, for games where you go first. If your opponent knows these are in your side deck, they might opt to side in back row removal and side out of hand traps. In this situation, leaving your copies of Skill Drain or Anti-Spell in the side could be better, since your opponent might draw into a useless back row removal card while you have 3 more hand traps in your deck to use on their turn, and so on and so forth. Don't get it twisted though. There are definitely a fair number of things you lose with open deck lists as well. To begin with, the value of non-standard strategies is definitely impacted. The advantage you get for playing a blind second deck like Tenpai is reduced, since you will be forced to go first if you lose the die roll. This could also result in homogenized deck building choices. For example, if your opponent knows you're on board breakers, there are a number of things certain decks can do to play around those cards. Why invest resources to end on layered disruption that will surely just get Dark Rulered or Raigeki'd when you know a single gimmick puppet lock in the draw phase will be enough to do the job? These types of changes might favor cards that are less impactful but more versatile, like Ash Blossom, over cards that are more impactful but less versatile, like Evenly Matched. Open deck lists also remove the technical play around gathering or denying information during a match. I'm sure everyone who has played a best of 3 format has scooped game 1 early after going second in order to not reveal which strategy they are on.
This sucks. You know what? You know
Are
what?
you gonna keep your secrets? Are you gonna keep your
I'm gonna
secrets?
keep my
from me?
secrets. I'm gonna keep my
This
secrets. Let's go to
guy,
game 2.
bro.
I'm gonna keep my secrets.
With open deck lists, you aren't incentivized to do this, since it won't give you an information advantage when siding. This also applies to Master Duel Worlds, where knowledge of your opponent's deck lists directly contributes to which of your 2 decks you'll choose to bring against them. Many lists this year were directly built to counter certain things, like Raymond Dye's anti-back row Pearly deck and Joshua Schmidt's Labyrinth deck built for the Yu-Bell matchup.
And then this happens. And you guys think the funny moment in this match is the thing that happens next? But I'm gonna be honest with you, the thing that happens next matters way less than you think, because my deck, at this point, I already knew it was over.
Open deck lists might disincentivize such committal decisions, but they might also lead to further mind games in these kinds of formats. It is important to note in formats which allow for scouting, this is the area where scouting your opponent will benefit you the most. Finally, there are a subset of players that like the macro level influence that scouting has on the game. Here's MBT's spicy take on it.
I think that scouting is like a really interesting and important skill. It is a macro skill in Yu-Gi-Oh! It is not inside the entirety of the game. But I think getting the team together to do what they can to try and figure out what your opponent is playing in a minimally entered world event is actually an important skill. I think huddling around spreadsheets, trying to figure out what they can piece together based on replays they've seen one side of, is cool.
Open deck lists completely remove the need for scouting, for better or worse, so you can't have that opportunity to work with your buddies to support your friend as they attempt to convert from day 2 to top cut. I imagine that this could be a lot of fun when not taken to the extremes, like the need to hire scouts at MTG Pro Tour events that Brad Nelson describes in his article. Being able to support your friends on their way to earn a victory at a major event definitely feels like what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is all about, even if in practice it means using binoculars to figure out what Jesse Cotton drew for turn. With that, I'm out of characters, so I guess this is the end. I'm incredibly curious to hear what you all think about scouting and open deck lists, since I haven't heard this type of thing broached much in relation to Yu-Gi-Oh! If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support my work, I've recently started a Patreon, which you can find in the video's description to gain access to videos early and have your name listed at the end. As always, thanks so much for watching.